Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation. I'm kind of on LiveHipHopDaily.tv. We're not at Live Hip Hop Daily Studios, clearly, but my man Herb is producing, so it still feels like I'm back into my second home. This episode is sponsored by 610 Organics. Stop by 610organics.com and see their higher level of apparel right now. Everything from shirts to hoodies to hats. Check out the 610 Organics line. Without further ado, I got my special guest in the building with us. Finally, I Heart with me. What up, Britt?
What's up? Cash Color Cannabis. What's up, family?
Hey, what's up with you, man? For those who are new to Cash Color Campus, Brittany, this ain't her first round here. She came before with London because they're part of this amazing podcast called Blunt the Podcast. So they came through. Matter of fact, you was there for the Q Money episode.
Yep.
Yeah, free Q Money. Q, free
Okay.
free Q Money. Q Money got locked up not too long after that. But it was kind of just ironic that y'all were there for that episode. Yeah, so I want to get into this episode because mainly because I've actually missed two of your, like, for those who don't know, Brittany's actually a very creative, amazing just like you just put together amazing displays. And I wanted to go see the one you did at the Mint. I wanted to go see the church theme one. I thought that was so lit. Didn't get a chance to do that. And I feel like I missed another one. And I was like, you can't keep missing these, man. Like, why don't you just call her, see if you can get her on the podcast and have her at least walk you through some of the things you missed? Because I feel like for somebody who consumes like you do, it's like the level of work that you still are able to put out is something that's worth speaking about, especially as a creative. So thought I'd get you on here today to talk about your background and see what the hell you've been doing during quarantine.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Because I don't know, it's just been crazy. Like to know that everyone's out there creating not too long ago, and now we're kind of stuck in the house. Yeah, it's just a different vibe.
Yeah. So what have you been doing so far? Like, how have you been spending your time?
So I've really been spending my time cooking. Like I just been finding recipes on Pinterest and cooking and smoking and Zoom-ins with because I still have a couple of clients that I work with outside of just freelancing. So just been on Zoom meetings, cooking, smoking, running. I actually got out and went to a couple of parks, but they're kind of packed. People still out.
Look, people are just being disobedient like a motherfucker in Atlanta, man. We need to calm that down.
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. To me, it's like, I don't know. I kind of still want to get out, at least to outdoors, to the park or something like that. I don't know. Is that still passing, you think?
I think it's still passing, but I'm always wary about wherever I go because my mama immediately, like, somehow she got like a radar on me to this moment to make sure that I'm not just walking around outside because I know you ain't got no mask on, I know you ain't got no hood on or nothing. You just out here. But I go to matter of fact, the most frequent places I've been outside of Kroger has been the gas station to get blunts. Like that's the most frequent place I've been so far in the last 2 weeks.
Dang, I've been piping it up over here.
I bet. I want to get more into papers. And I think I'm gonna have to get off tobacco eventually. Just period, man. Like I could feel it happening. I'm like, even the way with the way coronavirus came through, I'm like, I do not want to have respiratory problems the rest of my life. Like I really just, but I do want to keep smoking. So I'm gonna look for cleaner methods.
Yeah. And the damn pollen. Fucking up everything.
Oh, girl, this is just Atlanta, man. But so as a creative, has it been hard for you to kind of focus during this time? What I'm saying, as far as having so much time. Like for myself, it's hard for me to just sit down and do things. You know what I mean? Like I actually walk around this apartment almost like I'm in jail sometimes, just because I need to feel something. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I'm used to doing a different routine to get myself going. Has it been hard for you to get going while you're, stuck in this space right now?
It hasn't been hard. I have been, I guess, but I have been struggling in some ways because um just personal things that are taking up a lot of my mental space. But I think the biggest thing outside of personal things is just more so like creating a schedule. Like being in the house, like I find myself just, I can cook for an extended amount of time. Then once I eat, I'm like tired because then I smoke and then like I'm watching TV and like I'm not balancing out like a schedule for myself. So I think now I've kind of transitioned into that of like, all right, I'm gonna get up because now we don't have any deadlines, right? We don't know when anything's gonna open. We don't know what to sell. We don't know what to push out. We don't want to sell anything because people are going through financial hardship right now. The list goes on and on as far as like the excuses that you can come up during this time. But I think realizing that at the end of all of this, life is still going to happen. You're still going to want to push out stuff. If you create a schedule or some sort of deadlines, like I think, for me, it's, and I just started, but it's getting a little bit better.
I
I'm
know,
down
I
to
understand.
what day it is.
I understand that because for me, and that's been a thing for me with my whole entire life is setting a schedule. Like I can keep up with things, but I'm just not a schedule person. And one thing has made me have to do is kind of set a different type of schedule for my day, especially when it comes to making sure we have enough content on the blogs. Like this week has been I went ham this month on Jazz Appreciation Month. Like I just sat down and hunkered down and came up with a whole content schedule wrapped around jazz artists and the weed they smoked, and we just gonna churn out all this content, stuff I wouldn't necessarily have done. So I think this moment was needed for a person like myself, who's a creative like myself. I'm kind of a busybody who needs to learn how to sit down sometimes.
Do you feel as if like smoking helps you stay on track?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I try to. I think the thing with smoking when it does help me keep on track is it gets me to a point where I could focus and just sit down. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I've ever had ADHD or if I'm just a kid who just kind of who just kind of has a lot of energy in them. But I just can't. It's a hard thing for me to sit down and just sit down and finish something. So one thing that weed definitely does for me is it helps me kind of focus that part to where you're just sitting here and doing this and and I get wrapped into the mode a lot more. Like when I smoke, I get real deep in my modes. So
Yeah.
when I give you an example, even with the jazz appreciation thing, that went from just me having to do a small Google search to 4 hours later, and I'm creating memes and we got the content done. Like that definitely was contributed to a blunt.
What was that? Sativa, indica, hybrid.
Oh, it was a hybrid at that moment. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be more of a sativa person. Like I am one. Shout out to Lou. Lou almost shames me for being a sativa person.
I literally, that's why I'm high right now. I was literally just smoking with him.
With
We were talking
Lou,
about this thing.
man,
Yeah,
tell Lou to stay in the house.
about sativa, and we still gotta make, still gotta link up with the family.
That's funny. Tell him to stay his ass
But
inside the house, man. Help curve the virus.
nah. I don't need him to stay in the house for that. I need him to, at least for me, make a personal visit to me. But no, I was just telling him, yeah, definitely, smoking helps me stay on track. But like, also, I've been cleaning up a lot. So like cleaning up my space and moving furniture around has, kind of helped me focus and set aside time to create and stuff. Cause like, no, everyone loves to like enjoy and create in a clean space.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you should see me. I vacuum once a week. Like that's my cleaning thing. Like I'll vacuum once a week because, like you say, it helps me. It helps me having a real clean space for me to kind of get down and do what I do. Funny part is, what's crazy about that? How many times after I clean, the air will get so clean that I'll sit down on the couch and fall asleep. Big fact. Like there's so many things I got to worry about with my own personal life. But yeah, that happens sometimes, man. It helps you clean. Cleaning helps you get organize your mind, but it can make me fall asleep occasionally.
yeah, I think we got the same schedule method.
Again, we're gonna attribute that to the weed.
Right.
So, talk to me about how a girl from Florida became such a super creative like yourself. Like, when was the first time that you realized that you think from a different side of your brain?
Uh, so, oh, that's a good question. So my father and I, we used to travel a lot as a kid,
Mm,
and I just remember um him asking me to draw him while we were on the road to like kill time. So I
mm.
would practice first, like doing sketches of my father in this notebook, and I wonder where it's at today because that would be kind of dope to share. Um, but I found myself doing that. So every time we would take a road trip, because we were constantly moving from like Orlando back to Jacksonville, from Jacksonville back to Orlando and stuff like that, just because of my upbringing with my father and his relationship. So I would draw pictures of him, and then it was some sort of magazine or like advertisement that had like the bear with the hat, and like you would win a cash prize if like you sketched him or something, like a $500 prize or a scholarship. So my dad would be like, you need to fill this out so that you can get a scholarship. And like he just always pushed because he's seen that there are, there's cash rewards or scholarships as far as with art. And so he kind of always just pushed me in that direction with just, going to art schools. Like I never went to a regular school. Like all of my schools were art schools, even from elementary up. And then like he would put me in competitions and stuff. So he supported me a lot in the accomplishment side because, all parents want you to kind of go to college, and he saw that that was my way in. And so from there, it kind of transitioned me into, finding interest in all different type of mediums. So I took photography, sculpture, painting. My first year of college, I was an interior designer. And then just kind of like just playing a lot in different things. And then I remember this was when like computers were kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say I sound old, but like computers were becoming like a thing, like graphics was becoming a thing. And so my dad was like, you should work on graphics versus interior design because like that's the new thing. And so I remember just submitting and getting enrolled at the Art Institute of Atlanta. And then like I kind of just went from there and worked with agencies, worked with really large companies like Coca-Cola, NASCAR.
Yeah, you worked for Coke for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, worked for Coke. I worked for the list can really go on and on. CarMax, Toys R Us, like just doing ad campaigns and like Super Bowl commercials, very corporate shit.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of got tired of being in that space. And it made me want to kind of go back to my childhood of like drawing and like sculpture and photography and like just really curating and crafting my own story. And when I was working at these agencies and these other corporations and businesses, it was hard to tell that story because you're working with such a large team. Yeah. So that kind of transitioned myself out of the corporate digital scene and into more of like my own expression and my own passions and trial and error with the things that I like to do.
That's what's up, man, and it's so dope that you embrace that part of your life. Like a lot of people suffocate, especially when it comes to people of color. Like we don't always get a chance to capitalize on some of the our creativity. I mean, we often get suffocated with whether it's bills or just life in general, to the point where you never have a chance to step away and say, I want doing. So applaud you on that you took that step.
We're always having to prove ourselves, I would say.
Yeah. Was you ever called weird for coming up being an artsy kid?
I think still, yeah. Like I still get called like free, and they call it like the free thinking and like the what else? Like hippie or
just free thinking is definitely code word for weirdo.
Huh?
Free thinking is definitely code word for weirdo. Yeah. If somebody calls you a free thinker too much, they think you're a weirdo.
Exactly. And that still happens today. So yeah, like always. People always said that and thought that of me.
All right. Well, I try to be boldly honest with people. One of the things I really wanted to do was see your display at the Mint. I thought everything I saw leading up to that moment was like, I need to see this. I need to be here for this moment. And then I didn't go. I can't remember why, but there's stuff that happened where I could not go. And I've had a fear of missing out about that every single day. Talk to us about Look to Your Neighbor. That's the name of was that the name of was that the name of it? Look to Your Neighbor?
Yeah. So Look to Your Neighbor. So I always I've always had these ideas. So a lot of the stuff that I'm working on now, I've sat on for years. And so Look to Your Neighbor. It's just something that I was dealing with as far as like my expression with religion and just understanding that my background, my family, they're heavy, like all of the males in my family are majority like pastors or, in that space. Our family have churches and stuff like that. So I just always struggle with like what to believe and why my interests and like the things that I, wanted to talk about and do wasn't necessarily something comfortable with, like our community wasn't comfortable with talking about that. So like, for instance, like wanting to talk about, sexuality and sensuality and just anything, like the fact that I like to do art and stuff like that, that just wasn't something that was normal. Whereas like we could sit here and talk for hours about God and religion and like, following the Bible and stuff like that. So Look to Your Neighbor was just something that was, I kind of took on the idea of the church fans, was my first type of advertisement.
Yeah.
As a Black person, in the Black church, what was advertised on the church fan?
Oh, almost anything, man. You got refrigeration companies, you got catering companies, everything gonna be on that church fair.
Funerals,
Yep.
bail bondsmen, like seriously, Martin Luther King, a 2-parent family home.
Oh yes.
Stuff like that. And so I was like, you know what? Let me put a twist to like, things that are being sold to me and like what I've embodied, because like the 2-parent home, like that was something that we're trying to sell to us. But I was raised by my grandmother, and a single father. So it was like I wanted to put a twist on that. So I had a few examples of the church fans. As I had one of my friends' vagina, body hair. And so the title of that fan was like Hair Like Lamb's Wool. Like,
and I missed this.
Just playing off of that, like, just making fun of religion, but in a way that is advertising. Another one was I had took a picture of what was it, like, how they do like neighborhood day, like College Park Day or something like that. So I was driving with my friend and it was like a College Park Day. And so she was like, oh, let's ride up on there. Like, let's go. And I was like, okay, like I'm not from Atlanta. I don't know nothing about this. So we went to just like hang out, like some true, like just Black shit, just hanging out. And then like within the 5 minutes that we were there, the cops just came in and raided it and shut it down. So I took a picture of literally like the whole setup of like just cops, and like you could see like where we were once, like partying and enjoying ourselves, no trouble, no violence, none of that. And so above that church fan was an actual camera, and I was recording people come up to it. And it was like, what was it called? Look Up Marlon, Say Cheese. And it was just a play on like, we're constantly being watched. And so outside of like, because the cops just came out of nowhere. And so the sign, you would have to see the fan. But that was a unique piece because I was actually able to capture people in the moment when they were in the exhibit, like walking up to the church fan and reading that and seeing. And all you see is police lights. And so to know that like, and then there's a sign that says like, you are being watched. And so like just knowing that like we're constantly being watched and like just police brutality, that was just a layered fan that just had so many different meanings.
Man, I'm mad I missed this now.
Yeah.
I'm so mad I missed this. Yeah, that's a deep take on everything. You know what I do love about yourself as well, especially when it comes to your art, is you find a way to kind of you embrace your sexuality and you embrace the conversation of sexuality a lot in your art, including even with the podcast. Why is it important for you to include sexuality and conversations about sexuality in your work?
So I would even say more sensuality, and I kind of been really taking my time to understand sexuality, sensuality, and that whole world. But I would say more so sensuality, because sensuality is just a being, and then sexuality are outside forces. So I kind of want to always stay true to myself. So sensuality is my inner being, and so
I like that.
when I incorporate sexual preferences such as nudity or a body part of a woman or a male or female, it's more so the sensual, like the feeling that I get from whatever it is of that I'm trying to express, and not necessarily from a sexual preference, but more so from an artistic point of view. And so I just try to incorporate that because that really makes people uncomfortable. I was listening to or maybe wasn't listening, was reading from Megan Thee Stallion's latest interview, where she was touching on like the double standards and like in the music industry and like how guys are able to rap about like sex, money, and drugs, and how like everyone has an issue with her talking about her vagina, and then everyone has an issue with her talking about what a male should do to her vagina. You know, like she's very aggressive with her tone. And so I was just kind of thinking about that, like, too, as part of a reason why I'm going to always incorporate that into my art or my expression, because I feel like it's such a uncomfortable thing to talk about.
Yeah.
In everything, in music, in art. And I just don't understand what that reason is, you know?
I agree with you. You know, I've heard Megan have this conversation for a while, and I actually agree with her. There's a double standard to where people almost have fatigue when it comes to hearing her talk about sex. But I actually feel, you know, and I've had this conversation with people. I feel like the playing field, I'm watching her be a part of a new playing field that's actually being leveled out, where we're able to have criticism for all y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of hearing you talk about sex as much as I'm tired of hearing this dude talk about drugs. Like, I've been so phased out on people doing that. Can we? I'm glad we can now have what I feel like is equal opportunity criticism. Though how you take it is up to you. But I think I'm all with everybody just being fatigued with people talking about the same thing.
Exactly.
But I do respect her. I think that she's actually I think she's setting a bold new lane for women, and when it comes to music overall, not just hip hop. Like she's really it's past a conversation about being an independent woman. She just kind of like takes control of a lot of her life, and I like the way that she does that.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Yeah. You spent some time in the Holy Land not too long ago.
Yeah.
What was it like going to Israel? What was you out there for?
It was beautiful. So there's this organization called Reality, and it's
Mhm.
invite only. So and there's like
Oh,
50 different,
big
well, not 50.
flex. Big
Not
flex.
trying
It's
to do,
invite only.
no, it's like an invite only like organization. Never heard of it. My friend went, and then she said that I would be perfect for it. So she, you know, she included me in it. You get accepted. Um, and I think there's about 8 to 10 categories. So I'm in the category of art, and she was in the category of storytelling. And so they take 50 people from around the world, and you go to Israel and you learn about their culture, their politics, their religion, and just how they apply art to create and change in the world. And so I completely felt like I didn't deserve that trip. Like I was overwhelmed. It was the most amazing experience of my life. Um, it's a lot of other benefits and perks to being a member of this organization, not the flex.
I was about to say another
So,
flex. Is that a flex bomb that's about to drop?
but no, like it really changed my life, and it really opened my eyes to like-minded individuals, even though they have a bigger status, bigger title to them. Like we all personally shared the same struggles and same comments and same emotions. And so I think that helped my confidence with art, being around 50 other artists that express the same thing as me, and being in such a beautiful space like that. Yeah, because I was on a trip with some heavy hitters, some really heavy hitters.
That's what's up.
Um,
That's what's up. So you feel like you learned a lot about your own creativity out there. I'm sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it felt holy. It really it felt
did you
so,
smoke while you was out there?
huh?
Did you smoke while you were out there?
Yeah, thank God, because yeah, we smoked. I heard like the weed was like the best out there, but I didn't get any. Um, I didn't get any.
She didn't get any of that weed blessed by Jesus.
Huh?
She didn't get any of that weed blessed by Jesus. She
No, but a few of the people brought some. so I was able to smoke. But I wish I would have smoked like some weed from Israel. That would have been.
Look, I'd have felt so guilty smoking in Israel. Like again, I come from a Christian background too, and I can almost hear my mama calling me. Like I felt the Lord tell me that you're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing.
Right. You walking on, what is it, what is it, limestone, and
Mm. And you stoned. I can hear my mama right now, and you stoned.
I would have tried that.
When is Blunt the podcast coming back?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like art, um, I don't know. That's a good question.
I like you guys, man. Blunt the podcast. I'm rooting for y'all every single day because I think that your conversation is totally needed.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And we definitely want to come back. I guess it's just more so like it's also a form of expression for us as well. Like everything is art to us. And I think that and we're also constantly growing. And so that's a lot of conversation, a lot of understanding and stuff. So I think we're definitely gonna come back. I just don't know when and how and what that looks like and stuff like that. Because this is work.
Who you
Like
telling?
this is work, and this is something that you have to maintain consistency in. And so that's, and I think that this quarantine break and all of this is kind of helping me realize that you can take your time, like you can be in grace, walk in grace, and just figure things out and what works best. And yeah, we're definitely coming back. I just don't know when.
Well,
And
I'm here for y'all. Here
yeah,
for y'all when y'all drop a new episode, man. Like bring the Blunt back. Bring Blunt the podcast back.
yes, yes, hashtag. We should start that.
When was
We
the
did,
first time you
we did a live the other day though, and that was pretty cool. That felt really good. And see, that's organic. Like me and her just both got into that same, rhythm and stuff.
Yeah, that's what's up. I saw the live again. I missed it. Like it's I can't explain my how my attention span goes. I wanted to join on, and I'm pretty sure something else caught my eye, man. I'm definitely like the dog, and I'm up. Like you yell squirrel, I turn around quickly.
I miss nothing else.
No, I can't not from here on out because I am a champion of y'all. Big fan of Blunt the podcast. What's your favorite way to consume?
Papers.
Really?
Yeah,
Why papers?
I could just breathe so much easier after. Like seriously, even so with the lately I've been smoking out of. Um, I don't know if you can kind of see it, and like it's kind of dirty, but yeah, a glass. And it changes color, as you're inhaling. It's pretty cool. But I'll smoke out of this, and that's cool. But smoking out of papers is just how it helps me breathe better.
What was it? When did you first start smoking?
Ooh, skipping school. What age?
Especially now that I know you a pastor's kid, I'm pretty sure you was into a whole lot of shit. when, skipping school,
Um,
smoking weed.
yeah, it's probably my sophomore year, skipping school with this dude, and he introduced me to a lot of different things. And we would smoke, and then come back to school high. Yeah.
It sounds almost like Queen and Slim. Like he met some dude, he introduced you to weed, and next thing you know, y'all on a murder spree.
Right, just doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
Yep, sophomore year. But I didn't become like a heavy smoker until I started, until most recently.
Really? And
Back
do you
then,
feel
like things weren't consistent. Like weed men's weren't consistent. Money wasn't consistent when I was younger. So now that I have a budget for
all right, so I ain't gonna lie, Brittany just flexing on us today. She got a budget.
budget for weed. You don't have a budget for weed?
No, of course I do. I think that people. I don't think people think that though. You know what I mean? Like, should I sit down and budget that out? Think about how much you spend one day in weed, and you'll realize that. Dang, I might need to make a budget.
You have to have a budget.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you'll be looking. That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't have a budget back then and was not smoking as. I smoke more now because I have a budget.
yeah, yeah. You smoke better probably now too. I remember I smoked a lot back in the day, but the more I think about it, how bad I used to smoke. Like, there's no way that weed could have been good. So what's next?
Black and miles and all type of
Look, don't. I feel like right now, like I need to get off all kind of tobacco products, and you're just piling on all of them right now.
Oh, you smoke? Okay. I thought like only.
Nah, go ahead and shame me. It's cool. It's cool. Keep going. She done brought the biggest flexes of them all several times on this show.
I didn't.
Then she decided
Yeah, that's
to bring out
good.
the biggest umbrella to shade me about tobacco.
That's not good, my brother. I'll help you get off of it though.
You know, you my buddy, man. This is all jokes and laughs, man. I definitely enjoy speaking with Brittany, and I thought that you would be the perfect person to help me kick off my 420 month. Would be the most creative human being I know who still manages to consume and keep a keep a heavy work schedule.
Yes. I'll say this one thing for all the smokers and creatives, like just I also during this time like also consuming psychedelics and like kind of tapping into that. I don't know how many listeners are into that.
Oh, a lot. So what you been on the mushrooms?
Yeah.
How? Now, explain to me the feeling of of what it's like to be on mushrooms. I have never ever tried that.
It it is the best feeling that you'll ever experience, other than skydiving. So like those were like the two most fulfilling experiences ever:
Yeah.
skydiving and mushroom.
Now I know that you have already you paired sex and weed before. Have you paired mushrooms and sex yet? Like and see what that experience is like.
Mushrooms on yes. It so I had to sit up like
Yeah, right. She gotta get ready for this conversation.
it is like I don't know. I don't. You would have to try it. It's, but if you could imagine yourself going to sleep on a bed of clouds, yeah, that's how it would feel. Like just,
Damn, son.
like just sitting out in the sun. Have you ever sat in the sun and like just the warmth from the sun just makes your body feeling really good and like you're sleeping, you feel yourself about to go to sleep?
Jesus.
That's what it feels like. Like you're so aware in mushrooms. You're very aware, and it's almost like the high, like your best high experience with weed.
I'm gonna
A
need you
lot
to
of people
write
talk
about
about
this.
like you trip, huh?
I'm gonna need you to write about your experience for Cash Color Cannabis. Walk us through what it's like to be on mushrooms.
I will definitely do that. I think that especially during this quarantine process where we're we're with ourselves a lot,
Yeah.
and that's the perfect time to kind of get in tune, and it's going to share exactly what you already know and say to yourself. And it's on you on how you take that ride. Like it's very emotional. It's very, very personal. And if you indulge in it with someone else, like if you guys can have sex, it'll probably be the best experience. It will, at least from my experience, it has been. So yeah, I'm about to do that and just go out in the garage and,
I like
and
how smooth she just moved into that. So yeah, I'm about to do that.
just do that. Like just and just get it out, like
Right.
whatever. However, I don't know. I may sew something. I don't even know how to sew. I may just get into something. Just whatever I see in my head, I just try to get it out, and it just helps to like create in that way.
Word, word, word. Well, I love talking to people like yourself because you always put an extra battery in my back when it comes to creativity and what I should be doing. So, speaking of I'm thinking about what you just gave to me in this conversation. Where do you feel like you're going long term? Like, where are we going to see Brittany in 5 years from now? Like, can you project yourself that far out?
I believe so because from our last time talking, the podcast was very much so um like the excitement around the direction I was going into. But since then, that has opened up this whole new world of something that I'm working on currently. I don't want to talk about it to like disclose exactly what it is, but it's in the sensual and sex world.
Mm.
And so I realized that now is a passion of mine. And in the next couple of years, I'm hoping to tap into because marketing and design and digital design and branding and strategy is also a passion of mine. So I'm hoping to blend the two and really get into my bag as a Black creative director in the sex world for like advertisement. Because I don't think Black people of color are displayed at all or displayed accurately. So
yeah.
I'm gonna just start coming up with some little ads and campaign, and I'm hoping that some of these top industries and some of these markets open their door for me to come in and creative direct some sets and stuff.
Hey, look, I'm rooting for you. Anytime I hear somebody needs something, I'll be like, hey, creatively, let me tell you something. Get her some mushrooms and weed. She gonna come up with some
Yeah,
shit.
that's it.
Britt, I appreciate you coming through tonight, man. For anybody who's listening today, let them know how they can follow you online, how they can learn more about everything you do. From matter of fact, you didn't even touch on the clothes. Like she actually has
Oh
clothes
yeah,
on her website.
I was gonna touch on them.
Okay, well, touch on it. What you got something new?
Let me drop something. No, well, other than this, so outside of, so this is one of the shirts well, this is old too, but I think I'm gonna put this up for people to purchase. But it's
Okay.
pledge yourself forward, and it's pretty much just um a mantra I live by. And I'll talk about that more on the website. But you can catch me on all social platforms, A Color or Shade, as well as my website, acolorshade.com, and or my design website, BrittneyHeart.com. So if you want to see some of my corporate stuff, logos and branding and stuff like that, you can go to BrittneyHeart.com. And then for more of my own expression, acolorshade.com. And so like I have these t-shirts, my Basquiat t-shirt.
I want one of those so bad too.
I got you. And
Thank
then
you.
it's just another Basquiat t-shirt of me painting in nude. And this photo was taken by Spencer Charles. So yeah.
Shout out to Spencer Charles.
Yes.
Seriously, shout out to Spencer. I gotta have Spencer on the show one day. I ironically met Spencer when I first moved to Atlanta, and it's so crazy that I keep hearing his name and I'm watching him like become this bigger, bigger, bigger thing.
Yeah. Definitely have him on the show. He'll be perfect for this.
Yeah, and also we gotta swap out clothes, man, because I definitely want one of your. I want both of those pieces, but I gotta get you some Atlanta bit stuff.
Yes. We'll do that. Once we can go out, once outside open again.
Yeah, well, outside is always open for you. You got weed people dropping off stuff for you and all kind of other shit. So everything's open to Brittany. Like when the world opens back up for the rest of us, and we can go back to the studio and go back to regular
Yeah.
world, then we'll be good. So the time today. Thank you very much for chopping up with us. I'm gonna be in touch with you soon. I'd love to see how if there's a way we can kind of work together. I feel like there's so much synergy here, and we should have been doing something.
Yes. Well, we have time now.
We do. We have nothing but time, and it's just nothing but time. So thank you again, Brittany, for coming through. And that's Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation.
Thank
And this
you.
episode is sponsored by 610 Organics.
Thanks.